So now, once you came up with the concept and your first sketches, which is reflecting the source of inspiration and the story you want to tell, which you come up with, the next stage is to finalize how this all will look in actual size. For that, you will need a new paper. Keep your sketches again by your side all the time, so that it's a front view on your right or on your left, it doesn't matter. Okay, and say for example a ring, right? I'll start with a ring by putting my hand on top of the blank page, like so, and this is the silhouette of my hand. So then I'm going to choose what finger I want that ring to be on, and I prefer it to be on my index. And like I showed before, drawing ellipses, 2 ellipses. That's my finalization of the actual size, how it will be. And then around it, I will be drawing further the concept. Okay, so that is a structure or a grid, a proportion of your future ring, or my future ring in this particular case. Also, as I have a wrist, I can move it a little bit further, it doesn't matter, it's a sketch paper anyways. And I'm going to do this now, which will fit somewhat like that on my wrist. So now, using my hand measurement, I'm going to create bigger bangle by drawing 2 ellipses again. 1, if the thickness somewhat like that, and I have to take this measurement and repeat it, my ellipse, which then will modify, just like I was showing you previously, it will be modified. But for now, I need to understand what is the actual size is going to be. And therefore, these exercises are very useful. So you can see how the measurement of the bracelet and the ring, more or less, let's say 80%, because you will be then working with it and modifying it further. So this is the concept. I'm going to just put some vague lines. How is it going to be? And same thing for the ring. And then move into new paper, where I will identify a necklace and earrings. Now, for the earrings, you need to have a mirror front view and a ruler, where you look at the mirror, which I have in front of me right now, and measuring approximately the length and the proportion is how it's going to be. Of course, it's good if you draw a silhouette of ears, let's say, and the neck. Now, the neck is approximately 14 centimeters in diameter. Well, mine is actually smaller. It's about 12 to 14, so that is the measurement of the neck. And then furthermore, like down, you can go and decide, is it going to be very long necklace, is it going to be short necklace. Now, because of my concept here, I know that it has to be on my chest. And again, measuring the size, I have about from the beginning of the chest, here where the neck is stopping, I have about 8 centimeters, and that is my area. Okay, so this is the visible part of the necklace is going to be. Yeah, so this way you are designing your finalizing your concept into the actual size by having this measurement in actual size. Same thing I'm going to do for the earrings. I'm going to measure, just putting the ruler next to your ear, looking in the mirror, and say, okay, how long I want it to make, and I want it to be about 5 or 6 centimeters. So then you just take the ruler, make a dot, 5 or 6 maximum in my case. But maybe you want to make something like that. But then again, say if it's 2 centimeters, which is this particular sketch here, then take it to your ear and see, is it big, is it not, what's happening here? I can see it's big for my ear. So in my case, it's going to be 1.5 maximum, 1.5 centimeter, which is 15 millimeters, if it's going to be attached to the ear. But my concept is different. I want to make this three-dimensional piece, which you also have to consider the three-dimensional concept of your jewelry set. And I will start, okay, so this, if this is the one here, and this is my indication, I'll start with the smaller. And because it's like a tube, which I have here, I will follow the same concept at least for the earrings. And that would be my actual size, more or less. Now, how do I work with that further? I take the whole sketch and then put next to my ear in the mirror and check how is it going to be. It looks good. I cannot show you with 2 cameras, unfortunately, but right now I'm satisfied. It's a bit smaller though, which I was planning to. It's 5 altogether, which is okay. It can be a little bit longer, but I'm fine with this. And furthermore, say, okay, we have a tube. And then along with the tube, then your actual shapes will go, how they're going to be exactly lines distributed beautifully on the tube form of the earrings. Now for the necklace, this is the only piece which is different from the others because it's not a tube. We cannot do it. Well, actually we can, but that's not the concept because, as I said before, my main attraction has to be on the silhouette of that person, which I have to also, again, what you do is you can do with the ruler or with your pencil. Again, measure it, bring it to your chest and see, how is it big, is it good, is it bad, what's happening, do I have to adjust it? Or when you finish your sketch, you do the same thing, you attach to your body, look in the mirror. So I have this concept of the dune. I don't want to lose that concept and the meaning of it, that silhouette looking somewhere, waiting for someone, let's say. And that's going to be, I'm going to repeat the same concept here. And that's going to be my silhouette. Now I have to say goodbye to the dunes because they're not going to be nice here, although you can slightly, just a little bit, as long as it's not bothering. Now you have to think about functional part of it, you know, how is it going to be so that it's not bothering the body, not scratching, it's not sharp or anything like that. And of course the connection. Now we have this dune here. If in the drawing this is flat, right now it's flat, I have to make it three-dimensional. How I have to do that? I can do that by layering, let's say, and this is where you will need again tracing paper, where you say, okay, if this is the one here, then see, somewhat like that. That's going to be one, which will go somewhat like that, right? So somewhere here, I can trace it like so. And again, all the positive right now, I'm drawing darks just to understand and see clearly how that silhouette will look like, what is the relationship between negative and positive spaces. Then they will be converted, those dark ones, into the shapes. Instead of being, right now they look negative, but they are actually positive. And then the, say, from the different paper I can say, okay, what if I will then overlay it with somewhat like that, which I have on the other side. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And that would be my layer under. Because what I want to keep an accent on this one, the one which is going away from your eye visually. And the supportive dune waves are going to be under, and there will be distance between them. This is where you will need to create your prototype, which will show you this three-dimensional shape form of your jewelry piece. Because right now, even though I'm imagining it, oh, it's going to be on top, this is going to be under, and I can do it eventually. But prototype will show you more, and even more than just showing you, as you will be creating your prototype physically, you can play then with it, and it's an amazing process what you can do. So there we have it. Now I don't have to go any further because the most informative part is here. So here you can say, okay, this is what I wanted to say with my design, and here it can be just a simple chain or a ribbon or something else. It doesn't have to be all the way around, although we have to visualize what is going to happen on the back side. How is it going to be attached? So that here I'm going to create some kind of it can be a stone with a little jump ring, let's say, so that there will be some visual distance in between the dunes and the person who is looking forward. Now, talking about the silhouette, considering that we have to think about how it's going to be laid on the chest, I will make this in a silhouette of a flat stone, because it's on the chest, and if it's three-dimensional piece, it might be bothering me there. So this particular one can be layered, and yet it has to be laying comfortably on your chest. Unless you're creating a necklace which is very long and then it goes into the area below the chest, this is where then you can create three-dimensional hanging piece, which is look like a tube, let's say, or a spheric object or something like that. So this is the concept now. You can see, coming back to this, and that is your finalization in actual size. And based on this finalization, then you develop further, based on that, you develop then further into details. This is where then you start to put details of your jewelry set. I hope that was helpful. Okay, so now just a little bonus for the three-dimensional. How do I convert, on the example of Amna Ali, how do I convert the 2D into 3D? So what I did is I played a little bit with specifically this element, right? I played with the paper, which is, if you open, looks like this. You can see, right? And I also created like small element which can help me to develop into this three-dimensional form. So what I did is I used scissors to cut the shape and then to bend it. So as I'm bending it, it becomes already, it's no longer two-dimensional, isn't it? So this is something you need to do as well, experiment. And through this experiment, you can find very interesting things. So you can see now, my shape is three-dimensional. If I am going to complement this with a smaller one, attaching it like so, which is then I will glue it and I'll show you the final result. Then it's even more three-dimensional, because that's two three-dimensional forms are interacting with one another. I will find a way where it can be attached and how it's actually interacting, and then show you the final result. But apart from that, what I need to show you also the structure, the pattern you're using of your inspiration. So what do we do then? So you have this, and therefore this is very important, ladies, to create your pre-prototype. And this is pre-prototype I'm working on before finalizing the actual size and the final elements and how they're going to be attached together. So then say, okay, this is the pattern. I'm going to put it aside front of me, whether you're using it straight away or looking at it, right? And repeating the shapes according to your source of inspiration, to your sketches you've done, right? And say, for example, Amna, she did this. Now, Amna, that's for you, my dear. You see these spaces here, they are very, very similar to one another. So what I would do is, this little adjustment is that I'll play a little bit with these negative spaces by putting them in terms of, in a way of dunes, the character of the dunes, and yet give variety in the negative space and variety of the thickness of those lines as well. So then in the end they will become more intriguing, let's say, without losing the concept and that natural organic flow of the dunes. And here smaller, let's say, bigger and smaller. If you play, and that's something I was saying in our first project, if you play with 3 sizes, small, medium, large, you will never lose. That's a very, very good way of working with. So now I identify my negative and positive here, and now I'm going to cut it using a cutter and cutting board. So now, once you cut it, make sure, if you don't have a cutting board, make sure that you have something like a carton, back of your sketchbook. Be careful when you do that, you don't hurt yourself. Whether you have a small cutting knife or the one I'm holding, it doesn't matter. For this, because it's a pre-prototype, you can even use small manicure scissors if you want to, just to find out for yourself first on the trial, and that is in fact trial, what I'm doing right now, to identify the concept, 3-dimensional concept, how it's going to look like. And the paper is too thin, I should have gone for a thicker one, that's why it's ripping apart. So then just choose something like 200 grams paper. This one is 150, and that's too thin. So now I have this. Cutting out. And coming back to that original, again, going back with scissors to the original concept, which was there in the beginning. Now you have this concept of the dune and supportive. What I'm going to do also here, you can even second supportive element like a baby of the bigger one is always good to add, because it's kind of emphasizing the relationship. That's what we have here, and adding 3-dimensional feeling to it. Now I'm going to go back to the Amna's design so that you see the evolution, what happened here. This is what happened, you see. I'm going to play on the gray background so you can see what happened. And then attach this from one side, like so. You can use PVA glue, or you can use double sticky tape if you want to. So this is where then you can say, okay, if this is like that, then what if I'll do this and that. So this way you kind of finalizing how your element will look like when it's 3-dimensional. Now you can see the difference between the drawing and what happened with the same element once we turn it into three-dimensional element. So that's how we have to evolve in this particular project. Now, what I did is I glued with double tape a few elements, the small one and the big one. The small one, what I did is I split it into two and then connected on different sides, one from the back and the other one from the front. So it's created even more three-dimensional form to it. And you can see again, I'm coming back here and comparing the design and the model and how it can be evolved from being 2D to 3D. Okay, now just little tip for you ladies, apart from this principle which I demonstrated, it also can be done elevated from flat directly. See, this is the shape I did, and I cut it in different areas every cycle, let's say, and then elevate it. And if you do something like that, which you can, and you can do with anything, then it is no longer two-dimensional, isn't it? Same thing I did with the circle, and you can see again we have the same principle, which is from being absolutely flat and out of one piece only. Then by playing with it, putting it back and forth, up and down, this piece is no longer two-dimensional, and you can do wonders with it. And it's actually very simple and yet very sophisticated, isn't it? Okay, so now this one was based on the weaving, Emirati weaving, the cages. You must probably recognize the pattern. And the source how to make that actually online you can find on YouTube. I was following a YouTube tutorial to make this, and this is also three-dimensional piece. And the other one, like a tower here, based on the Frangeri, for example, you can see it's a tower. It's a building actually, where I was playing and drawing with it. So again, if you open it, it's actually not so complicated. It's only, let me just do it carefully. This is the outline, which I then play with it by drawing where the bends are going to happen, observing and studying the building of a Frangeri, and then combining it together, binding it together. There's only one connection here, and yet it's good enough. You see, you don't need to be complicated to create three-dimensional shapes. And of course the flower, which is made in layers. So if you do something which is a layers of two-dimensional shapes, that will give you three-dimensional form in the end of this exercise. So you can see how many different concepts you can use. And one more I'll show you is when you're creating the pattern, bending it like so. That's what I did. I just bended the paper and then cut with scissors, and then became a pattern, which is then, as you will connect here, this particular one inspired by one of the vases of Zaha Hadid, and this kind of piece can be easily converted into a pendant, the long one below the chest, and earrings. So that's the concept. And again, these all are pre-prototypes, not final ones. Okay, and that's the process, how you work first with your pre-prototypes before they become, you can see the other example I was just playing. This is sticker paper, this is thinner, this is pendant, and this is the earrings, because you can see they're different scale. Okay, so that's that. Please share with me your comments. What do you think? Did you understand the process, how it works, and what are your ideas and questions? I will be waiting for you. Happy creating. And I'm looking forward to see you online on Monday and hear your feedbacks and all your assignments by tomorrow, the latest. Have a good day and see you soon. Bye.